Hey, comic lovers, EMoney, the Old Man, and Thor the Dog of Thunder out here with you again. We're actually in the garage this week because it's freaking cold outside.
And the hawk is out.
Yep. All right, so we tried this last week. We're going to try it once more. All right, Thor, you ready? Ready? All right. 1, 2, 3. Ah! You know what? We're gonna do it one more, okay? All right, do it once more. 1, 2, 3. Hey, he got it. All right. Third time's the charm. All right. So before we get started today, don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the like button, turn on your notifications, and leave us a comment. Let us know that you like what we're doing here.
Or something. Let us know you hate it.
I mean, at least say you love Thor, right? Everybody loves Thor, right?
Well, maybe.
All right. So for as long as there have been conventions, there has been cosplay. The art of dressing up as your favorite characters from comic books, sci-fi, movies, television, whatever it is you like. Now, I have seen some pretty great cosplay in my day. I've also seen, amateur stuff like, what I do. If you buy your costumes off the rack, or you just sort of, piece things together until you have a full costume.
And just so you know, putting on a Superman t-shirt, no, that doesn't count.
That's not cosplay. Now, if you put like a suit on and get a curly Q and put on some glasses and say you're Clark Kent,
there you go.
Okay, I'll buy that. Well, then there are people who are on a whole other level, and we're going to be talking to one of those cosplayers today. All right, so get fitted for your costumes, kids. This is Back Issues. All right, comic lovers. So you may have noticed things look a little different here at Back Issues.
A little bit.
Yeah. Everyone, I'd like to welcome to the show our first ever guest star, Miss Becki Yoakam.
Hello, Becky.
Hi, how are you guys?
Hi.
Good.
Really
Glad
good.
to have you.
Thanks for being a part of the show here.
Thank you for having me.
Becky, I love your costume. Can you tell everyone what you're dressed up as?
So I am currently dressed up as Winter Soldier Black Widow. It's new, so first time wearing.
Okay, and you've got the you told me what they were earlier. I forgot now. The
Widow bites. They're widow bites.
Widow bites. Okay, and you wore this earlier today to an event, right?
Yep, I was at an Autism Speaks trunk or treat. Heroes Alliance was there, so I was able to be there with my Black Widow.
All right, awesome. And obviously, the kids love it when you dress up. And what costume do you say they respond best to when you're dressed up?
So it really depends on if they know them. For Heroes Alliance Ohio, most of the time, if the kids recognize the character, they gravitate to it more. But I've also found that little girls, they really like seeing female superheroes, whether they know who you are or not.
Sure.
They'll just come running up and give you a hug and just be like, "Who are you? I have to meet you."
Great.
Awesome. It's great you do that for the kids, and you do these charity events, and you do or not so many conventions now probably, but you do these events where you can, and you're a different character almost every time, right?
Yep. So this time I was Black Widow, but earlier this year, before the pandemic hit, I was Mira at our stroll for epilepsy that happened in January.
Okay, great. So, do you consider yourself a professional cosplayer, Becky?
So I don't consider myself a professional cosplayer only because I don't get paid for it. I have been cosplaying for 14 years. So I consider myself, I guess, a veteran cosplayer. But I do a lot of charity work with most of my costumes. So I'm part of Heroes Alliance Ohio and Rebel Legion and 501st. So we dress up as different characters and we go to charity events or walks or even visit in the hospital as different characters. So Heroes Alliance is superheroes, and obviously Rebel Legion and 501st are both Star Wars character groups.
Right. Okay, great. How did you get into this? I mean, it's not an easy hobby. It's probably a pretty expensive hobby. So how did you get into it in the first place?
So back when I was in high school, the guy I was dating at the time, he knew I was big into anime, and he just kind of asked me one day, "Have you ever been to an anime convention?" And I went, what is that? So my very first anime convention, my very first convention in general, was back in 2006 at OhioCon, and I was crazy. I made 2 costumes to go to it. So I made both of them. They were kind of easier, but at the same time, it was great. I liked being there. I liked being around people that understood the things that I liked, because at the time, anime and cosplay weren't very well looked on. Like they weren't, people looked down on it, and they kind of made fun of you a little bit. Just because it was different. They weren't used to it.
Yeah, I can attest to what that's like, because trust me, being in high school and being a comic book reader, yeah, everybody made fun of me, but I didn't care. I still did it.
You know, do what you love, right? When coming up with a new cosplay, is it more about doing a character that you like, or is it more about doing it for the challenge of the cosplay?
So for me, it can go both ways. I really like the characters, but I also like being challenged by the costume. So I'm very detail oriented. So the more elaborate the costume, the more I'm drawn to it. But that's not always a good thing, because they normally take longer and they're more challenging. But I have to like the character too. I want to know who the character is, and not just I like the costume.
Okay. Are you in character when you're dressed up as the character?
It depends. A lot of the times I am. But if I'm around my friends, I sometimes just joke.
Right.
So the fun one for me was, for a while I did Battle Damage Uchiha Sasuke. And it's a guy. So It was pretty fun seeing people get confused by the fact I had a female voice.
Yeah. Okay. So, our brand here at Back Issues is comic books. So, question to you, do you read the comic books for the characters that you're doing? And do you know the backstories of the characters?
So I do try to learn about the characters. So like my Captain America, Peggy Carter, I really liked the fact that she was a Captain America. So I wanted to figure out what her backstory was. She is in one chapter of the comic Exiles. So I went and read the whole first volume and found out she wasn't in any more of it. But I really liked her character and who she was, and how she was more the Captain America, only she was female.
Right. Okay. And, they're on track to do a what if story with Peggy Carter if she had taken the super soldier serum. So that's going to be a pretty popular costume pretty soon, right?
Yep, and that is actually one of them that is on my list, is Captain Britain. Right now I have to figure out how to make the shield because nobody sells it. But it is on my list of costumes that I want to do, because I love Peggy Carter.
Okay. So as an amateur cosplayer myself, I'm asking this for logistic purposes. When you're going to a convention, what is your routine? I mean, do you drive to the convention in your cosplay? Do you check in, go to the bathroom, change into your clothes, and then take your street clothes back to your car? I mean, how do you do it?
So the first few conventions I went to, I would drive to them, and I would show up in costume, or at least partially in costume. So like for my Black Widow, I would have the suit on, but I'd put my Widow Bites on and my holsters on when I got there. But a lot of times for anime conventions or even comic book conventions, I have a hotel room. So I move all my stuff into my room, and then I change into costume there, and then I don't have to go back and forth to my car.
Oh, okay. See, I wasn't thinking about hotel rooms.
Because we do it on the down low.
Right.
When we go to a convention, it's like you're usually in full costume if you're doing cosplay.
Yeah, doing it the hard way.
And I always end up being a handler of some sort.
So, have you ever done? I mean, I've seen some really big cosplays that people have done. One time I saw a guy in a full Hulkbuster Iron Man suit. So have you ever done a cosplay that didn't easily fit onto the convention floor?
So it wasn't that it didn't easily fit on the floor. It just wasn't easy to move in. So my Seth Night Road from Trinity Blood, I have 4-inch heels with a 2-inch platform, and they're thigh-high boots. And then I also have 2 tridents that are every bit of 5'8", and they're about 10 to 15 pounds a piece. So I had to have a handler for both of those. And then I didn't make it too far because my feet would hurt or I'd get stopped because it's an elaborate costume. But it's still a lot of fun. And I think for a time I had wings for that costume too.
Wow.
Wow. So you were fully committed, and you had friends as handlers who were committed to it too. So
Yeah.
yeah,
And that was a fun one because we flew it from Ohio out to LA for a convention. So that's an even different logistics nightmare.
wow. Okay. So that's got to make you nervous when you're flying parts of your costume out like that, right?
Yeah, well, with that one, my tridents actually got shipped out to a friend in California beforehand, but I was nervous that they weren't actually going to get there, or they'd get there in pieces instead of in one piece.
Yeah.
So it's a little nerve-wracking, but at least it made it.
Okay. So, I scrolled through and seen some of your cosplays on Instagram. Have you ever had like awkward encounters with fans at conventions, and people doing stupid stuff?
Let's face it. A lot of times fanboys can be absolutely crazy.
That is very true. So I've had a mixture of experiences. Most of them are good, but bad ones do happen. So I've had racist comments made towards me because I didn't match the character skin color that I was portraying. I just kind of brushed it off and went with it because that's more their problem, not mine. I wasn't doing anything wrong.
Right.
Then you have like when I crossplay as a male character. It's kind of funny when you actually pull off looking like a male character, because girls come up to you and they're kind of like giggling because they think you're a cute boy or something. And then you talk and then you see the look on their face going, oh, you're not male.
Right.
So it's pretty fun that way too. I can't say that I've really had any bad experiences as female characters, but I'm not normally by myself. I try to stay at least with somebody I know.
Yeah.
It's amazing that your costumes are so convincing that people don't recognize what gender you actually are. That's great.
Yeah.
My battle damaged Sasuke, I can actually go shirtless in it because of the type of binding that I do, and nobody knows the difference.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I think when I met you at a show in Cincinnati, you were dressed as Kylo Ren, right?
Yeah. That is one of my favorite ones. I've got the voice changer. So as long as you got the helmet on and the voice changer, nobody really knows the difference because they can't see most of your facial features or your body, for that matter, with the cape. And it's only when I take my helmet off when they realize that I'm female. And I have told a couple of times that, oh, you're actually a girl. That's not what I was expecting.
All right. That's impressive.
Yeah, that would be fun, I think.
It is a lot of fun.
So, have you ever met celebrities where you're dressed up as their characters, or maybe their character's love interest, and how have they reacted to those encounters?
So I actually have quite a few stories of that, just because I've been doing it for about 14 years. There was a time period that I was working with a Walking Dead convention, and I do Lori Grimes. So I actually look the part of Lori Grimes, and there was one convention I went to. It was a horror hound in Cincinnati. One of the staff members came up behind me when I was in costume and was just like, Sarah, what are you? Oh, I'm so sorry, you're not Sarah. And Sarah's the actress. So it was a good compliment to me, but it was rather funny. And then when I met Sarah herself, her first comment was, holy crap, you're me, only beaten up. So she loved it too.
Wow.
And I've also met the actor that played Tommy from Arrow, the TV show. And I was in my Huntress from Arrow, from the TV show. And he saw me in it, and his first response was, oh, it's you. And I'm like, hi, how are you? And he actually let me pin him to the table with the arm back and everything, and he absolutely loved it.
That's great.
It's good when they have fun with it too, right?
Oh, definitely. When they're into it and they love seeing you in the costume just as much as you're enjoying seeing them, it makes it great.
Okay. And by the way, that Cincinnati convention you went to and saw Sarah Wayne Callies, I think you and I crossed paths at that convention and didn't know it.
That could be. I was with a Rick Grimes and a Glenn, and the Glenn had a baseball bat, and we went and met Herschel too, and I got to meet Shane, and
Oh,
Shane liked my Lori costume a lot too.
I bet. So, how many costumes do you currently have?
So I don't have a solid number because I stopped counting at 100.
Wow.
And I mean, I know I have more than that now, but whenever I'm asked, I just say I have 100 plus.
And, and I want to make this clear to people that you actually make most of your own costumes, and you're like professional seamstress, right?
Yep. So I work full time as a seamstress, not on costume stuff for work. We make hotel draperies. But for me, I make my costumes unless it's like a costume that I can just go out and buy a shirt and jeans or something pretty basic. Other than that, I make them all. Clear down to the shoes sometimes.
Okay.
With that many costumes, how do you store them?
So I currently have about a 12-foot by 12-foot space down in the basement for all of my sewing stuff. I've got a couple of shelving units, and then I also have a rack that I can hang some costumes on. So the ones that need hung, I hang. The ones that I haven't worn recently or I probably won't wear again because they're older, I have in totes. But I keep the ones that I wear a lot more on top and separated, where the ones that I'm kind of done with, they're kind of put away unless somebody asks me to wear them again.
Right. So, what cosplay are you currently working on?
So I am working on a watered down version of Maleficent. For work, we're doing a Halloween thing at work. Outside of that, I'm working on Mal from Disney's Descendants 3, which is kind of ironic because Mal is Maleficent's daughter.
Oh, okay.
But both of them I love. They're different. The watered down one I have to be able to work in, so it's not very complicated.
You need.
But I'm gonna have the cape and the headdress and the staff.
Wow. Okay.
Well, let's face it, with Maleficent, it's all about the horns.
All about the horns.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm gonna work on making those tonight.
All right. So, what costume or prop would you say you're most proud of?
So I'm proud of everything that I make for different reasons. So like my Trinity Blood costume, I'm really proud of that because of how early on I made it. I made it back in 2009 and I started in 2006. But it's very intricate and it was based off of an art book picture of it. So there was one image and that I had to make up the rest. So I kind of had to go between all of her other costumes and figure out what could this look like. There was a lot of hand beating that was involved in that one, along with making my own jewels. I'm proud of my Peggy Carter because, let's face it, I really like Peggy Carter. And it was different because it was a different costume style. I'm also proud of my female Thor because I'm not big into armor making. Armor and I don't get it. It just kind of, it's magic to me. But I kind of looked at female Thor and said, yeah, I'm making that costume. I just have to figure out how. And now I really like my female Thor.
Nice. So it sounds like you learn new skills for like every project that you take on.
Yep. It's definitely a learning experience. A lot of times I go, well, I'm going to try it this way. It might not work, but I'm going to try it. Worst case, I got to do it again.
Right.
But I learn a lot as I go. And each costume brings in a different skill that I hadn't thought of before.
All right. What advice would you give for like aspiring cosplayers out there who want to take on this hobby?
So my biggest advice with any cosplayer, new or one that's been in it for years, is have fun with it. Enjoy what you do. If you enjoy making the costume, then make the costume. If you enjoy just being the character, then be the character. The big thing is have fun with it. If you aren't enjoying what you're doing, you're probably doing something wrong.
I mean, you're at a convention, all dressed up and you're miserable. You're probably doing it wrong, right?
Right. I mean, find people that like your costume, or find people that you like their costume. Start talking to them. Get to know people. You never know what it might bring.
All right. Becky, thank you so much for being with us today and being our first guest star on Back Issues. Where can people find you on social media?
So I have a Facebook page, but it's kind of harder to find. It's Uchiha Sakura. But I also have an Instagram account. It's cosplay.uchihasakura. And there is a link from there to my Facebook page. So you can find both of them. The Instagram page is kind of newer, so it doesn't have a lot of my older stuff, but the Facebook page has all of the older stuff in it.
Okay, great. So that's where you can find Becky. So again, thank you so much for being with us.
Thank you, Becky.
Yeah,
Thank you for having me.
absolutely. All right, let's head back up and see what Thor's up to.
Oh, goodness sakes. What? All right, let's go.
All right, now it's time for everybody's favorite segment, Stump the Old Man.
Oh yeah, everybody's favorite.
All right, so best 2 out of 3 to win. So let's get into it.
Okay, so how about no animal questions?
Okay, this week's is a Thor question. So,
Ah.
all right. So first question: besides Nick Fury, name 3 people who have been director of Shield.
Well, somebody obviously was director of S.H.I.E.L.D. before Nick Fury took over the job, but I have no idea who that was. But I do know that Dum Dum Dugan did it for a while. And I'm pretty sure Maria Hill took the spot. But that's it. You got me. He got me.
All right. So people who have had the role of director. It started with Rick Stoner, who was the director before Nick Fury.
Never would have pulled that name out.
Other names have included Dum Dum Dugan, Maria Hill, Norman Osborn. Yep.
Don't remember that one.
Sharon Carter,
That makes sense.
Tony Stark,
Kind of makes sense.
Steve Rogers,
Makes sense.
Daisy Johnson, aka Quake,
Don't remember that.
and Phil Coulson.
That also makes sense, but I couldn't remember any of those guys doing it. So
All right, on to question number 2, our Thor-related question. In the original Thor comics, what was Thor's alter ego?
oh, you're gonna throw me a bone, are you? Get that dog question, even though it's not. Throw me a bone. Ha ha ha. Any rate, Odin decided his son Thor was getting a little too full of himself. He had no empathy for anybody else. It was all about him. So he sent him to Midgard as the average Dr. Donald Blake. And to become Thor, he found this walking stick in a cave that Odin put there. And when he smacked the walking stick, I think he had to hit it on the ground 3 times. The cane turned into Mjolnir, and Dr. Donald Blake turned into the mighty Thor.
Okay, that is correct. So 1 for 2 so far. On to our third and final question. Name 3 actors who have played multiple comic book characters and name the characters.
Okay, you didn't say superheroes. I don't know if it matters, but let's see what I can do here. All right, my guy Chris Evans was both Captain America and the Human Torch. Didn't care for the second movie, but it wasn't his fault. Let's see. Oh, a couple of my favorite guys. Ben Affleck played Daredevil. I'm sorry if you didn't like Daredevil. It was a good movie. It's just Ben Affleck has been one of those guys that is popular to not like him. Well, I don't have to impress anybody, so I like Ben Affleck. And his role as the older Batman, I mean, that's my favorite Batman. Sorry. I'm going to tick some people off this week. All right, and
That's
I need
2.
a third one. Seems like there's been a bunch.
There's been plenty to choose from.
Okay, well, I'm going to go with, since I just went with the guy who played a couple of my favorites, I'll go with the guy who definitely did not play my favorites. You have the Green Lantern movie where he played Green Lantern, which, I mean, it was a terrible movie. not so much the actor's fault. Yeah, it was really bad, and I didn't particularly care for the way they had him portray Green Lantern. And then you had Deadpool. Okay, nobody else could be Deadpool but Ryan Reynolds. He's perfect in this spot, does a great job. I just personally don't care for Deadpool. But there's your answer.
Okay, that is correct. Other actors who have played multiple roles. Halle Berry played Storm in the X-Men movies and then played Catwoman, which I barely count because she's not the Catwoman from the comic books.
Well, at the end, they had the pictures of some of the actual people who played Catwoman over the years, so you got to count it.
You also have Josh Brolin, who has played several different characters. He's played Jonah Hex.
That movie could have been better.
Mm-hmm. He's played Thanos, and he's played Cable, two of which were in the same summer.
Yeah. The comic books are keeping him busy.
Yep. Peter Dinklage played Bolivar Trask in the X-Men films, and he also played the giant
But you can't pull that name.
E-Tree.
Could be.
And the list goes on. Tom Hardy played Bane and Venom. Pretty impressive.
Good actor. Good actor.
Yep. So the list goes on. So it's 2 out of 3 this week. So the old man wins this round. All right, comic book lovers. So that about does it for this episode. But before we go, let's talk a little bit about what we're going to be doing next week. So throughout the history of television and movies, there have been several actors who have played the part of the Joker. And I think you and I both have some pretty strong opinions about each of their performances.
Yeah, I'm going to get in trouble again next week.
So next week we're going to be getting into them. Who played the Joker best, why they're good or bad, and who stacks up as the best Joker among them. Also the worst. And also strong opinions about that one. All right, so we'll see you guys next week. Excelsior.
See you later, true believers.